Every great NBA team has an identity. The bad boy Pistons and their aggressive defensive style. The Los Angeles Lakers, led by Kobe, Shaq, the villains of the NBA. The dynasty Golden State Warriors and their incredible shooting and ball movement. Well, the Sacramento Kings have been trying to develop their identity for a long time, and I think I've figured out what the identity of this Kings team is. All it took was a win over the Los Angeles Lakers to discover it. You're watching and listening to Locked On Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all regular season long. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm a Sacramento sports reporter and producer for ABC 10 News. And of course, any day after the Sacramento Kings win, any night after the Kings win and beat the Los Angeles Lakers is a little extra sweet, isn't it? And the Kings handle their business, bounce back very nicely after Monday's disappointing loss to the Charlotte Hornets. They beat the Lakers 134-120, and a lot of people pointed out on Twitter, and appropriately so, don't be fooled by that score. The game was not that close. With the exception of some good moments from LeBron James here or there, the Sacramento Kings absolutely dominated this game, and they did it as a team. And team is what we're going to be focusing on in today's pod, because the Sacramento Kings have found their identity, at least in my mind. How many times this season already have we talked about the Kings having 6 or 7 players in double-figure scoring? How many times have we heard Mike Brown or the Kings players talking about sharing the basketball? I've pointed out that the Kings were near the top or have led the league in passes. We're near the top of the league in assists. Their ball movement has been so essential and so important. That all combines into what the identity is of this Sacramento Kings team. And that's essentially Kings basketball. And really, when one person gets going, everybody gets going. Everybody feeds off of each other's success. And it can be different players on different nights. It can be different players during different quarters or in different bench units. We've seen when Malik Monk comes in off the bench and starts playing with that flash and flair, starts throwing lobs and big men start throwing them down. We saw it with Neemias Queta a little bit in tonight's game. You see it with De'Aaron Fox when he gets aggressive and starts attacking the basket. How many other of his teammates want to also get involved and be aggressive. You see it when Keegan Murray or Kevin Harter or Malik Monk or anybody starts knocking down threes from the outside. Everybody seems to start knocking down threes, and that's perfectly evident tonight by the fact that the Kings had, again, 6 players finish in double figures scoring, but 4 players finish with 20-plus points. De'Aaron Fox had 22, Kevin Harter led the Kings with 26, Keegan Murray had 23, which tied his career high, and Harrison Barnes had 20. 4 out of the 5 starters have 20-plus points. Oh yeah, the 5th starter in Domantas Sabonis had a monster triple-double, which we will talk about. But this Kings team, they feed off of each other. They recognize when one person gets going, not only is it great for that person, you want to keep feeding that hot hand, it opens up opportunity for everybody. And what's great is it's not just 1 or 2 guys that do that for this Kings team. As important as De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis are, and we will continue to talk about them until I'm blue in the face, right? Those 2 are essential to what the Sacramento Kings do. But they both also feed off of when Keegan Murray's having a night like he had tonight, hitting 6 threes. They feed off of when Harrison Barnes had the second quarter that he had. When the Kings were off to a slow start offensively, Harrison Barnes, I think, scored 11 points in the second quarter to start getting the Kings going a little bit. Those guys feed off of their teammates just as much as those teammates feed off of them. Now, it's more apparent when someone like De'Aaron Fox, and as aggressive as he is attacking the basket and getting to the line as much as he is, getting defenses to collapse, of course, it's easy to see how that opens up opportunity for three-point shooters. But it goes beyond that. You see players wanting to match the energy and aggression that De'Aaron is showing while also attacking the basket. I thought Kevin Harter and Malik Monk did an excellent job of doing that as 2 guards. And then Domantas Sabonis, cleaning the glass, getting involved, offensive, defensive rebounds. You see Kings players responding to that, trying to box out or to get into positions to, when he does get that rebound, either be ready for the outlet pass to push the tempo on the fast break, or if he gets an offensive rebound, open up a passing lane and be out there for a kick out if he needs it for hopefully a wide open 3 and an even better shot than the original shot. This team feeds off of each other. And it's not a one person gets everybody going necessarily. It's a one person gets going and everybody responds to it and everybody rallies around the success of that one person. It doesn't mean they keep beating the dead horse and giving it to them time after time after time again, because that's basically ISO basketball, and we see that everywhere in the NBA. When a guy gets the hot hand, you just keep giving him the ball and clearing out and getting out of the way. You see that a lot. ISO basketball is absolutely the furthest thing from what the Kings are doing. In fact, when one player really gets going, the ball starts to move more than when that player is not going, right? Like the ball starts to move around. Players get more touches. Teammates get more touches when De'Aaron Fox is hot or when Domantas Sabonis is hot. That's what makes this team so unique. That is the identity of this Sacramento Kings team. Because even though there's still a lot of time left in the season and maybe that identity will change, maybe it'll shift, maybe it'll fluctuate with adjustments or players becoming available, any additions or subtractions that the Kings make to their roster at the trade deadline, who knows? But what I can say definitively from what I've seen from this Kings team, not just tonight, but through the majority of their now, 17 wins, they do it as a group. They do it as a unit. And compare tonight's game and the stat lines to the other night against Charlotte. I believe the Kings did have 6 players finish in double-figure scoring against Charlotte, but it was very much De'Aaron Fox up here with 37, I believe. Domantas Sabonis, or did he have 35? He was in the high 30s. Domantas Sabonis was in the high 20s. With the exception of that, there was a decent drop-off with the rest of the team. As great as it is that both of those guys are getting going and the Kings should capitalize when both of those guys are having big nights, compare that loss to tonight's win when it was like I said, 6 players in double figures with 4 players scoring 20. And I've said this on Twitter and I'll say this here. Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, they don't need to score 30 points a night to dominate a game. Their presence alone, Fox's aggressiveness, Fox dominated in the third quarter of this game simply by attacking the basket. Also showed off his post game a little bit with a turnaround jumper. He got going after a very slow start, and it wasn't because he was playing bad. He just wasn't very aggressive out of the gate. And the Kings as a whole were struggling offensively out of the gate. Like, he can dominate a game simply by attacking and opening up opportunities for teammates. Domantas Sabonis can dominate a game by cleaning up every single rebound off the glass and finding open teammates and just being a presence. I mean, he scored 13 points in tonight's game. 13 points, and he absolutely dominated maybe his most impressive stat line of the season, finishing with a triple-double. And let's talk about that triple-double a little bit. Actually, pause. We're going to go back. Or we're going to come back to this triple-double because I want to hear you talk, or I want you to hear Kevin Harter and Mike Brown talking about this team identity and why this team does so well to feed off of each other, especially when 1 or 2 guys get going. I asked them both about it. Here's what they had to say. Kevin, 4 players finishing with 20-plus points. It seems like when one guy gets going, everybody starts to get going and shots start falling. What is it about this team that you guys feed so well off of each other's success?
Yeah, I mean, we move the ball. It's one of those things if we're hitting shots, we're obviously really tough to guard. I think defenses are in rotation all game. A lot of that has to do with you. Domas is a guy you really need to double. I think De'Aaron is a guy you need to load to the ball. He's going to get to the rim. So we already have 2 players on our team. For the most part, you have to double team in order to stop them, and the rest of us around them just got to be able to make plays and make shots in the backside. So if we're playing in transition and moving the ball, I think we're capable of nights like this where multiple guys get it going.
Mike, building off of James's question a little bit, is this team starting to form an identity of when one guy gets going, everybody seems to feed off that? It seems like as soon as someone gets hot, shots start falling from everywhere.
Oh, yeah, no, the floor, when you think about our staples, the first one is pace. We want to play fast no matter what. Even after makes, we want to play fast. But then we also, we always talk about space in the floor. And you're correct. If a guy is hot, it's not only does it get everybody going when somebody hits a 3, but they seem to try to look for that guy that is cooking a little bit. And they do that on their own. The neat part about it, too, they do it within the scheme of what we're trying to do offensively. And so, if you play with pace, if the floor is spaced with the shooters that we have, we're going to get good looks because we always talk about paint touches, ball reversals, which is moving the defense quite a bit, and then playing in the 0.5, hitting those singles but making quick decisions with it. And you get all of that in the mix with the type of offensive guys that we have, and good things usually happen on that end.
Also unrelated, but I thought this was a really important soundbite from Kevin Harter, and this speaks to the high basketball IQ player and, in my mind, leader that Kevin Harter is. He talks about being a one-dimensional player, how he felt like he's relied too much on just being an outside shooter and just shooting threes and not attacking the basket during this recent slump that he's been on. And tonight, his focus was trying to get more involved in the paint. Love everything that Kevin had to say here.
The last couple games, I don't think I was make myself one-dimensional. I think I trying to get in the paint more, get back to the free throw line, get my confidence back there, and just being more than just a three-point shooter, not always relying on that. And the shots they're hit or miss. Like I said, you're going to go through ups and downs, but if I'm trying to expand my game past that, those are things I can control, getting in the paint, trying to be aggressive.
That's a unique personal accountability that I think Mike Brown has instilled in this roster. And Kevin has, one, the wherewithal, and two, I don't know if self-respect isn't necessarily the right word. He understands what is needed of him and understands that even if he is one of the best three-point shooters on the team, even if he can get hot at any moment, he is better off and the team is better off with him trying to focus on what the team is trying to do rather than him just trying to chuck up threes and shoot his way through the slump that he's in. I love that from Kevin Harter. All right, let's talk about Domantas Sabonis. 13 points, 21 rebounds, 12 assists, triple-double. I think it's his second of the season. Domantas Sabonis had 10 rebounds in the first freaking quarter. The dude is a ball magnet when it comes to rebounds. Like, he's always in the right position. The ball seems to come right to him. Had a couple of offensive rebounds where he read it perfectly off the heel of the iron or the front of the iron, and it just came right to him to give the Kings second chance opportunities. Here's what I want to talk about with Domantas Sabonis, and I'm going to include De'Aaron Fox in this conversation. And I'm stealing this actually from ESPN 1320's D'Lo and KC radio show. Damian Barling and Kenny Caraway were talking about this on their show earlier. They posed this question. If the league came to the Sacramento Kings and said, you will only have, or you can only have one All-Star, pick who it is, De'Aaron Fox or Domantas Sabonis, you can only have one. They said, and I think rightfully so, they said it's De'Aaron Fox. And it's not so much what's happening this season, it's the legacy. It's how important it is to get De'Aaron Fox that recognition. It's the fact that he spent his entire career here, has always put up the numbers, but is what's held him back a little bit has been the team's success. Well, now the team is having success. He's still putting up good numbers, maybe not phenomenal numbers, but good numbers to help the team win. De'Aaron Fox should be the All-Star. I actually completely agree with that. But let me say this. At this point, this scenario is a moot point. It won't exist. It doesn't happen because there is no possible way that the league can keep Domantas Sabonis out of the All-Star game. Fan votes be damned. Fox and Sabonis, no matter how aggressively you vote on NBA.com, and God bless you for it, they will not be voted in as starters. But reserves, both of them absolutely deserve to be there. No one more than Domantas Sabonis, simply because of the dominance that he is showing. He is doing things that only Nikola Jokic, a two-time MVP, the reigning MVP, is capable of doing. That's it. You cannot deny him the spot that he deserves in the Western Conference as an All-Star, in the NBA as an All-Star, period. So De'Aaron Fox is going to go because the Kings are going to select him to go if in this scenario they had to choose one. Domantas Sabonis is going to go because selection be damned. He's kicking in the door. He's getting on the plane. He's choosing himself to sit on that bench and suit up in the All-Star game. Both De'Aaron and Domantas absolutely deserve to be there. And this Domantas Sabonis triple-double and De'Aaron Fox's continued dominance on a team that is significantly better, keep example after example after example. The Kings simply cannot be ignored in the All-Star race. Today's episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is brought to you by a relatively new sponsor here of Locked On Kings, and a sponsor I finally got the opportunity to use. I'm talking about Turo. Now, Turo is like Airbnb and Vrbo, but for your car. It's the world's largest car sharing marketplace. With Turo, you can book any car you want, wherever you want it, from a community of local hosts. Browse a huge selection of vehicles for just about any occasion or budget across the US, UK, Canada, and Australia. You can book a spacious SUV for a classic family road trip. You can get a classic or luxury car for a special holiday, event, birthday. What I used Turbo for was to get myself a Ford F-150 truck that had a massive bed to help me move a crap ton of my stuff from my old house to storage while we're waiting for my new house to become available. I used Turo. It was an amazingly simple and great experience, very cost efficient, a lot better of a choice for me than to go through maybe other truck rentals or options that are typically out there. You can find affordable economy cars if you're on a budget just trying to get from point A to B. If you are interested in an electric vehicle and want to test it out, you can use Turo for that. Many Turo hosts can even deliver the car right to you. Every trip is backed by liability insurance. Terms, conditions, and exclusions do apply. Forget boring rental cars. Find your drive at Turo.com. I'll tell you, one of the things I was really impressed with from the Sacramento Kings in tonight's game was their ability to respond. And there are two specific situations where the Kings responded perfectly that I thought were bigger nails in the coffin than anything they did in the closing minutes of this game. In fact, one actually kind of did happen in the closing minutes of this game. The first one was in the second quarter. The Kings were creating a little bit of separation, but the Lakers were hanging around. LeBron James had this monster dunk to kind of electrify the Lakers crowd in attendance, which, by the way, I think this was the second sellout in a row for the Kings. They sold out Monday night against Charlotte, sold out tonight against the Lakers, and the crowd was, normally it's like 60-40 Laker fans. I'd say the crowd tonight was probably like 70-30 Kings fans over Lakers, 60% Kings fans normally, 40% Lakers fans normally. I would say, yeah, 70-30 probably tonight, but that Lakers contingent, they made some noise in the few moments that they were given anything to make noise about. And one of those big moments was LeBron James getting a transition dunk. Well, maybe that sparks a little bit of momentum. Maybe that sparks a run for the Los Angeles Lakers. No, the Kings responded in the next two possessions with a Domantas Sabonis 3 and a Keegan Murray 3. Fast forward to the fourth quarter. De'Aaron Fox picks up two quick technical fouls. He was fouled right over here by Patrick Beverley. Clearly fouled, if you look back at the tape. Clearly slapped on the wrist. And then I also saw, looking at the replay, it looked like LeBron came over the top and also might have made contact with his head. Nothing egregious, nothing crazy, nothing like Domantas Sabonis, the shots to the head that he takes on a nightly basis. But Fox was not happy about that foul, or rather lack of call, picked up one technical, continued to argue his case, picked up the second technical, and was ejected. At that time, the Lakers then had 4 free throws. They made 3 out of the 4 of them and got possession of the ball. It was a 13-point game. The Kings get a stop. They respond with a Kevin Harter 3 and a Harrison Barnes 3. It goes from 13 to 19. The Kings slam the door shut. Two situations where a big LeBron dunk to maybe get some Laker momentum going, shut down with 2 threes. You lose your star in a game that is still, there were like 5 minutes left. The Lakers can still make a comeback and find a way to steal one and capitalize on the momentum of the Kings losing their number one guy. And the Kings rallied and responded with 2 big threes to shut it down before it could even get anywhere. I'm really impressed by that for the Sacramento Kings. That shows composure. That shows an ability to win. That shows a veteran winning ability that one, I didn't expect this Kings team to have at this point. And 2, maybe this Kings team hasn't necessarily earned yet. Like, they haven't won enough to make plays like that consistently, and they were able to do it in 2 key moments of this game here tonight. I also was really impressed with the Kings' free throw shooting, especially considering how poor they were. Remember, they missed like 14 free throws or something like that on Monday against Charlotte? Well, clearly they learned their lesson because they went 25 of 30 from the free throw line. De'Aaron Fox went 8 of 9 from the free throw line. And I point that out because De'Aaron Fox's aggressiveness in the second quarter and primarily in the third quarter got himself going and was part of what got the Kings going. There were different stretches where Keegan Murray's threes got the Kings going. Then De'Aaron Fox getting to the foul line and playing aggressive got the Kings going. Then Malik Monk's lobs to Neemias Queta got the Kings going a little bit. Like, there were different snapshots of this game where different players started rallies that the team rallied around. Well, one of them was De'Aaron and his aggressiveness attacking the basket. I love the fact that when De'Aaron gets downhill, one, he was finally getting the whistles that he deserves to get and was getting to the line frequently. And the fact that he's then getting to the line and hitting those free throws at a very high clip, that makes him extremely dangerous, almost unguardable. De'Aaron was huge in this game, despite the fact that he got ejected. De'Aaron's big third quarter was also just a big third quarter period for the Sacramento Kings. They outscored the Lakers 40-28. That's where they created the separation that won them this game. Also, let's talk about Keegan Murray. Like, Keegan Murray has arrived. I think in 11 out of the last 12 games now, Keegan has scored double figures. Tonight, he has 23 points, which ties his career high, 6 of 12 from three-point range. He's shooting in the high 40s, like mid to high 40s from three-point in the month of December. He went through that tough stretch, worked his way through that tough stretch, really didn't play any different then from how he's playing right now. It's just the shots are falling. He's continuing to take good looks. The one big difference that I see from Keegan is he's aggressive attacking the basket, which is something that Mike Brown challenged Keegan to do more a couple weeks ago when he was in his slump. Keegan, right behind me, tried to catch a body. And he nearly did. He nearly pulled off a cocked back one-handed slam. And Keegan said after the game, when I asked him about it, he said, Mike just said, go up, every time you attack the basket, attack it like you're gonna dunk it, even if you don't dunk it. Well, that aggressiveness from Keegan has led to opportunities for him, not just on the perimeter, but everywhere on the floor. Now, I'm not expecting him to score 23 points a night. I'm not expecting him to hit 6 threes a night, but these are the games that he's capable of having on any given night as a rookie, an instant contributor as a starter, and he absolutely deserves to be that here, not just in the NBA, but on a good team in the NBA. How many other rookies can say that and are doing that in this class right now? No matter what numbers they're putting up, Keegan Murray, maybe Benedict Mathurin is the only other one. They are major contributors to teams that are playing well. And when you get these performances like Keegan Murray gave tonight, you damn well better win. It was also awesome to see, I think his family was in attendance in tonight's game. I know his dad was in attendance, so he got to show off for them a little bit. This episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is also brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your #1 source for all your sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. The Kings came in tonight's game 7.5-point favorites against the Lakers. Well, I hope you took that line because they covered that spread and then some. I hope you are making money on the amount of fun that the Sacramento Kings are right now. Hopefully you're turning that old Kings pessimism that maybe you cashed in on into money-making Kings optimism. And no matter what you're betting on, whether it's Kings, general NBA, whatever sport it is, make sure you're doing it at BetOnline. You can get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football and with the playoffs about to start, all the great betting that you probably enjoyed on the World Cup. They have college bowl season, basketball nightly. You can get it all at betonline.net. Also, you can check out podcasts, sports podcasts on BetOnline as well. They're the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to sign up and learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. You know, one of the major storylines and talking points for the Sacramento Kings over the last 48 hours or so has been that backup center position. Domantas Sabonis had to play 40-plus minutes the last 3 or 4 games, something like that. And as great as it is that he's able to do that, and as important as he is on the floor, if you do that consistently throughout the season, 1, you risk injury, but number 2, you're going to wear him out. You're going to run Domantas Sabonis into the ground. And Mike Brown really had to do it as a necessity. He struggled to find his backup center. Gave Rashawn Holmes some tries, didn't work out. Gave Chimezie Metu some tries with the exception of some good moments, ultimately really hasn't worked out. So now Neemias Queta is getting an opportunity. He got an opportunity on Monday night, thought he did some good things. He was aggressively trying to block shots, maybe too aggressive at times, leaving wide open opportunities for offensive rebounds and putbacks. Well, I thought Neemias Queta was really good in this game and put in a really good shift late in the first quarter and early in the second quarter. Neemias Queta finished with 10 points, 5 of 5 from the field. I think they were all dunks, a couple of them off of alley-oops, one after a defensive stop on LeBron right here. Fox got the rebound, and Queta was already running up the floor, and he got a wide-open dunk in the lane. Neemias Queta was effective on both ends of the floor. He was impactful. He was a presence. And what I love the most out of what Neemias Queta was able to do in this game was he used his natural gifts. And what I mean by that, he's a 7-footer with a ridiculous wingspan. He puts his arms straight up in the air. He's almost 9 feet tall. Use that to your advantage. Even if you don't have the developed skills of some of the best bigs in the NBA, you have a natural size, a natural ability that gives you an advantage around the rim and in the paint. Queta was using that, and the Kings were taking advantage of that. Malik throwing lobs. I think De'Aaron Fox threw a lob to Neemias Queta at one point. I love to see that out of him. I thought this was an excellent stretch for him. And the biggest thing, and this might not seem like a big deal, he provided 10 minutes and 39 seconds of play for the Kings. I think the Kings want a little bit more, maybe 12 plus minutes out of their backup center, but that meant that Domantas Sabonis, who got a massive triple-double, only played 37 minutes and 21 seconds. I think consistently the Kings would like to get that around the 35 range just to keep him as rested as possible to get through the full 82-game season and hopefully a playoff series or two. But it's a start, right? It's 10 minutes and 39 seconds of not great basketball from Queta, maybe not even good basketball from Queta at times, but someone who held the spot down, was more than capable, did his job, and you could see the impact that that had on the Kings, period. Loved what I saw out of Neemias Queta. I don't know where you are, if you're in Sacramento and if you're watching this before it's too late, look out the window because you'll probably be able to see the beam. I think they doubled the beam's power. It used to be like 4 lasers, now it's 8 or something like that. That beam is freaking bright. Really, really cool to see. Maybe now Coach Mike Brown can see it from his house in El Dorado Hills. And yes, I'll address the small elephant in the room between the last time I recorded a podcast and now, if you follow me on social media, you may have seen the interaction that I had with De'Aaron Fox. Some people like to take things a little further than they have to be. Here's my take on the entire situation. For those of you who don't know, I tweeted out and overreacted to, in the fourth quarter, LaMelo Ball going off against De'Aaron, and De'Aaron also going off against LaMelo Ball. I tweeted out that LaMelo had De'Aaron on skates and De'Aaron couldn't stay in front of LaMelo. Skates is inaccurate completely. Skates suggests that he was getting his ankles broken, which wasn't the case. De'Aaron responded to that tweet saying that that wasn't what was going on and that he wanted clips. We went back and forth, talked about dribble penetration versus on-ball screens and things like that. I provided a couple clips of one De'Aaron biting hard on a pump fake and another one of De'Aaron closing out too aggressively, and LaMelo Ball went by him and threw a lob to Plumlee in the lane. Ultimately, it's a lot to do about nothing. But here's the cool thing for me. I ended up getting short online interactions with a soon-to-be all-star in De'Aaron Fox. We had a great conversation. At least from my perspective, it's all respect. And I appreciate the fact that he conversated with me. And there is nothing wrong, period, with any athlete responding to something that they disagree with from any media member or anyone, period. I know De'Aaron tends to respond to the negative more than the positive. He certainly doesn't respond to the positive tweets that I have about him, just the negative ones from time to time. But I appreciate De'Aaron Fox. I appreciate the conversation. Unfortunately, because he was ejected, didn't get the opportunity to really talk to him or see him after tonight's game. I don't know if he would laugh it off. I don't know if he would just blow it off. I know De'Aaron's a pro, so if I were to ask him a question, I expect him to answer it, and I expect he would, regardless of the situation. But I know some people see Twitter and they instantly assign a tone to it of De'Aaron doesn't like Matt, or Matt doesn't like De'Aaron, or De'Aaron's coming after Matt. And I had some fun with that, making some jokes about how De'Aaron has ruined my career and stuff like that. It's all in good fun. I'm very appreciative of the platform that I have. I'm very appreciative of the access that I have. And I've told stories before about great conversations that I've had with De'Aaron Fox in the past that have nothing to do with basketball. I've walked with De'Aaron through the Kings tunnels at times, talking about video games and games that I like versus games that he likes. Granted, this was before COVID a long time ago, and I don't think he remembers any of that. He probably barely knows who I am other than the times that he interacts with me in the press conference room, in the locker room, or times that he reads my crap on Twitter. But ultimately, I respect the hell out of De'Aaron Fox. Yes, I am a fan of De'Aaron Fox, and I have no problem saying that on my forum or on any forum. And I'm going to continue to speak my mind and say things that I see, or things that I'm going to be critical when I think I need to be critical. I'm also going to recognize and own when I say things that aren't accurate, like De'Aaron Fox on skates. And of course, that skates term is now following me a little bit, and I had to have some fun leaning into that tonight. I'll tell you one thing. De'Aaron Fox definitely had some Los Angeles Lakers players on skates tonight. And I think that's a great way to end this podcast. I got to meet a number of you at tonight's Kings and Lakers game. I'm so thankful for that opportunity. I hope to see you on Wednesday, or rather Friday's game against the Washington Wizards, final game before Christmas. So hopefully you will join me for that. If you're coming, let me know. If you are not coming, but you continue to listen to Locked On Kings, I appreciate you so, so much. You truly are a Christmas gift to me, and I don't say that just to be cheesy, even though that is extremely cheesy to say. Thank you so much for your support. Can't wait to talk to you on the next episode of Locked On Kings. Until then, my name is Matt George. You have been listening to the Locked On Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.